All right, guys, so right now I am priming the oil throughout the whole system. You want to just use the 14 with a drill on there. You want to put your filter on, your oil filter, and then if you have your drain, just plug that in right there. That way it doesn't leak from there. Usually you would put the whole turbo system in there too, but yeah. Now the areas we're going to look for is on the squares here. You can see already oily going there, so but on the that's where the oil should come out, also through the rails here, but you should probably see some coming in right now. Let me get the, just put the drill on there, and I did this, you want to do this before you hit the timing belt too, so you can see it, they're making whistling sounds. See that stream right there? So we got some here. So we're gonna do this for a couple minutes, and then we're ready to put on the timing belt. All right, y'all, so we now have the belt on. Don't look at the dial, that was my, top dead center tool, but here's the complete timing marks for this. This is the 6-bolt, yep, 6-bolt. So, but the 7-bolt head is the same. All the time marks should be the same. But so let's start with the center. Of course, you're gonna make those ones in the center of the cam gears aligned, as well as the dowel pins. Those are going to be pointing straight up at 12 o'clock. If imagine like an imaginary line here, you can grab a straight edge too, and you should see all the lines line up perfectly horizontally. So make sure you put your zip ties here or clamps to make sure it doesn't go up and skip. So you want to start off from the left to the right and work your way down. And then here is your idler pulley. You want to go on the inside there, and then you follow it around the oil pump sprocket. So you want to make sure you have that timed. On balance shaft deletes, you don't really need to time this because you don't have the balance shaft anymore, so it's always good practice to make sure it's timed. You swing it around, make sure it's hugging there, and here is your crank sprocket. So you want to make sure you also time that as well. This one might be a little off. When you first get it on, it might be like towards the outside of the marking, but when you bring it in, it's just gonna be right into place because of the tensioner. But so you swing that around, boom, right, and brings it to your tensioner pulley, and you want to make sure this is tensioned right. So start out with these two holes going straight up and down, and then when you tension it, it should somewhat be 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I had to adjust it again because I went a little bit too hard on tension and it sank the tensioner. But now this should be pretty good. So just grab your pin, right, and just insert it, make sure it can go all in all the way, right. So this is, you want to make sure this does this like 15-20 minutes after, and it should hold that tension. So again, just mess around. You're gonna need this tool. I didn't use the gauge, the tension gauge, whatever, but just grab the tool like this. You can get it on Amazon too, so you don't need the specific Mitsubishi one. So this is one on Amazon. You just use it here, go like that, right, and you turn it. And then after that, you're gonna go around the pulley, and it loops right back around to the gear, exhaust gear. So that's it. That's the timing for the 6-bolt 4G63. If you guys are still building this motor, this is what it is. Again, this is all the purple markings is just make sure I torqued it. So the bolt here, make sure it's a shorty. I stripped this one, of course, so out of all the alloy pan bolts, this is the one I stripped, the most important one. So I just went ahead and RTV'd it. But because if you have a super long bolt, it actually will hit See, it will hit the timing belt, so that's why it's eating timing belts, if you didn't know. So yeah, just check the tension, looks pretty good, right? General overview right there. OEM tensioner, always get the OEM tensioners. Gates timing belt, Gates water pump. So yeah, so we're gonna fit the 6-bolt timing cover on. It's a little beat up because I don't know, this is the only one I had, and getting these are pretty much impossible to find now. So if you're putting it into the 2G, you're gonna have to modify the mount a little bit. It's not the prettiest thing, I'm be honest, but I just want it on there. And this is gonna be the main protection to any rocks and chips. Unfortunately, I do have a big gaping hole right there, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and find all the bolts for this. I'm gonna link probably some photos and some links on what helped me out for this build. So if you guys need any help, then let me know. I'm gonna put the thread pitch. I think these are all M610, so it's the same as the valve cover, but you want to make sure the one on the outside are kind of longer. So the ones on the outside here, and then the ones on the inside, I think this needs to be short or long. It doesn't really matter, but this guy needs to be shorter. That guy needs to be shorter, so it needs to be shorter than the outside one. So all right. So right now I'm doing the brake calipers, and we need to take off these pistons because we're rebuilding them, right? To do it is grab some shop air and grab a piece of wood there, not too thick, but you could actually use like a ruler too, like a metal, like wooden ruler. But anyways, what you're gonna do is just shoot this out here, and it should shoot out right there. So watch this. Well, just don't have like water or whatever. Jesus Christ. That's the most messiest thing ever, but once that's done, just take out the wood, and there's your piston. Crazy. Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing the powder coating the brake calipers today. I didn't find any rebuild kits locally for the rears besides the boots, and I looked at it again, and all the seals still look good, although I'd advise replacing it. I have no other choice to just reuse the old ones. So but before you powder coat, you want to get rid of all the seals. That's why we're doing that, and you want to make sure you get every single one of them out. There's one inside the piston where this piston comes in and out. Also there's some other seals as well, so I want to make sure it's clean. I'm gonna hit it with some acetone, and then that way we can clean off everything, or 99% alcohol. And again, just tape off whatever areas you don't want to get painted. So obviously the one here, so you can, I'm going to be using high temperature paint or tape, so that way we can mask it off here when we're powder coating. Also some areas inside here. So that's what I'm going to do, is just prep the surface real quick so we can paint these. This is going to be Illusion Purple, or the HKS Purple. So I don't know if I need to put a primer on here or any other base color, so I'm just going to shoot with the powder, see what happens. Just want to make sure it's really prepped good, because it's not going to adhere to it properly. So if you guys saw that fiasco last time removing the pistons, yeah, it's getting kind of messy. But same thing goes with the fronts. These fronts are like massive too. They're like, look at that. That's crazy. So just make sure you clean them up as best as you can. I got it on the wire wheel right here. So let's clean these up, and yeah, let's get the spraying. A little test one with the super chrome. Look at that. Look at that. Now it is a little bit shit because the part is shit. As you can see, it's a little bit pitting here. But this is the aluminum water neck. It goes to the thermostat, and just super chrome, and that's it. I didn't really spray a lot of on it either. So look at that. Let me show you guys some other ones. So this is what the rig looks like, right? This is whatever works, right? So got the homemade box here. I'm working on a different setup, but this works. But here's the rest of the thermostat housing. As you can see, man, look at that. Look how shiny that is, man. It is a little peely, right? And that's all right. I kind of want the aesthetic of like, hey, it's chromed out. So right now it's cooking. Right now the valve cover is cooking right now. So again, doing that super chrome. I was thinking of doing the matching with the brakes, but we'll see. But damn, maybe I'll do another valve cover in the future. But look at that. Now I did put the silicone plugs here. You can get this on Amazon, so that way you're not like using bolts or whatever, or doing some ghetto ways of doing it. But the plugs are legit. Also the high temp paint for the flat panels or the mounting surfaces. So as you can see there, dang, this thing looks sick. So we're just gonna wait for this. It doesn't really like take a long time for it to dry, but have a cooling rack. Probably the best way to do it. So here's the gun, just the do voltage. I did an unboxing on this on my channel, and then kind of ghetto rig the feed and the air supply, but it's working. There's our hopper, so we don't have to mess around with other shit. So yeah, we gotta do our brakes now. Cool. So we have a gauge here, but I'm not sure if this is the most accurate reading. But we do have some exposed holes. I got some extra metal here. See right there, there's some exposed holes here, and also the back. Yeah, I need to close that off or put a weight blanket over it. But let's see how the valve cover looks like. Ooh, very nice. I can see a little bit of surface imperfections. That's purely because of prep. But dang, this thing came out sick. Look at this, guys. This is super chrome 2 on the 4G63's valve cover. Look at that. You pop open that hood, people know what's up, man, for sure. And it looks pretty even too. I was scared of this part here. It did get a little bit here, but you know what? Like, for my first time powder coating for this, in this homemade DIY powder coating oven, this is crazy. Look at that. So we're gonna make that cool down for a second. It is a larger piece, so it needs to cool down a little bit, but I might actually throw it in for another. I'm gonna throw in the other last piece to chrome out, but dang, look at this. Take a couple pictures. So we hooked it up on the ear here. I don't really see this part of the brakes. Like when people actually check out your brakes, they don't actually check it out. So, but I just want to get a good coating on here. This one came out a little bit too light. So yeah, again, we're using the dual voltage modified here. We got a whole ordeal going on, but let's go ahead and spray this thing and see what's up. All right, just here's the purple HKS. It kind of got darker, but I'm not gonna lie, that dark color looks pretty sick. Again, there is some imperfections here and there, but you know what, it looks a lot more better. So to reinstall the seals in there is an inner seal here right inside the bore that catches, I believe that catches the oil. Just make sure you put the seal in there. This is reused, so I couldn't find another one quick enough, but put that seal in, and then it's the cylinder, and then the O-ring with the snap ring in there. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you lube it up here with the fluid, the way it's a little bit more easy when it's first actuating. So yeah, let's get it on and complete these brakes. I think I got done with the rear now, and then right now we're spraying the some of the fuel rail stuff and the front brakes. So yep. Okay guys, I just got this out of the grill. And as you can see, this is the purple, candy purple. So this is gonna look really sick with the chrome and the color theme I got going on. Kind of old school HKS colors, blue, purple, chrome, stuff like that. And yeah, this is the fuel rail. Look at that. Look at the detail on there. I mean, this is probably one of the cleanest parts, just because like the prep on it was literally to the base. So, and opposed to like the brake calipers where they're a little spotty and stuff like that. But this is crazy. This is just gonna look sick. Too bad no one's gonna see it because it's a freaking fuel rail, but awesome. All right, y'all, what's up? So I'm just gonna do a quick little video on my process on how I fit the T25 turbo with our 6-bolt block, 7-bolt head, 4G63. Let's begin. So if you're doing the swap, you're going to need the T25 with all the original coolant lines. In this case, we are actually keeping the T25 on here. So the water pipe here, this guy going into the water pump, that is a 2nd generation. Make your life easier and just get a 1st generation one. That's if you're using a 2nd gen head. So the 2Gs, right, from 95 to 99 cylinder heads can use the 1G thermostat housing or the 2G thermostat housing. If you're using the 1st generation, you want to make sure you use the 1st generation water pipe. But the 2nd gens can use both. So in this case, we're gonna need some coolant lines for the turbo. So this is the stock T25 2G turbo. You have a couple lines here. The one in the back there, that guy in the center of your screen, this one, that is our so that pipe right there, that is our coolant return. So anything that goes back into this pipe here, this lower pipe, right, the one going to the water pump, that's the one water return. So anything going there, so any water, so this is a water, there's also a water return right here, which goes to your oil cooler right down there. So those two connect, and then so we're gonna need, so that one already is pretty good, so we can just leave it like that. Now the coolant feed, that's anything from the thermostat housing. You want anything from the thermostat housing because it sees higher pressure other than the pipe. So you want anything on here. So this is including the sending unit or the coolant temp sensor here. You can go into there. You can go into one of these guys, these nipple here. This one goes to the heater core, I believe. So this one goes to the overflow bottle, and this guy is actually our coolant feed to the oil cooler. So this guy goes into this pipe here, right? And there's a secondary pipe there which runs underneath, right? And it runs underneath and goes down here, and you follow that, and it should be this line here. So that is our coolant feed that feeds to the, I can't see the other line, but there it is. So this one feeds into the oil cooler, cools down the oil, and then it goes back to up here. So that is our feed line, what we'll have to tap into for the T25 basically. So you want to get this line, it goes around, ends here. Another provision on the 6-bolt that it doesn't have compared to a 7-bolt is that coolant feed. It goes into the block, but the 6-bolt don't have it, so you have to figure out where to fit this feed. Like I said, you can just get the 1G pipe and you're good. But tee this off, you want to connect this one to these two. So splice it into here, and then there you should have your T25 water cooled, as well as your oil. But anything in the block should be more important than the turbo, because you can actually block off the you don't actually need to run coolant lines here, but there's some provisions you want to make, like if you're running the car hard, or you just don't want to shut it off real quick because you want to keep it running for a couple seconds. That's why people get those turbo timers. But yeah, that's our problema. So We're gonna tee that off here, and then everything else should be all 2G, right? Lower rad, upper rad. Some people switch this one to the other one if you want to run a 1G thermostat housing, the top. So all radiator, everything else is fine. It bolts up to the 2G location, no clearance issues so far. And also the oil return, so that is this guy, the ribbed one, that also fits on the 6-volt block pan. Just need a gasket for that guy, and the oil feed, that guy goes into this port here. I have to take that off, but yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna go ahead and fix up all the water lines before we even install this. And if you guys want to see more of this engine or more of this Eclipse, link is in the bio, and also just check out my channel. I have a whole playlist on rebuilding this whole engine from oil pan bolt up. So, and we're still going. So again, this is the 6-volt block with the 7-bolt head, T25 stock, 2G turbo, 2G thermostat housing, everything there, 2G water pipe. And the only thing we need to do is to figure out this hose, which we do. That is our water feed, our coolant feed, and that is we're gonna tie into here. And yeah, that should be pretty sick. All right guys, so before the night ends, I just got the intake on, and I did a little bit of the bracketry for the power steering. I torqued all those down, and we got some of the lines for the coolant, oil cooler. I'm gonna figure out a situation for the turbo, so if I don't end up running coolant lines, and understand that. Everything's looking together. I'm gonna go ahead and rebuild the throttle body so that way it looks cool. We're gonna do the block off valve, whatever, the delete panel. So we finally got that rear engine harness, so now we can hook that up to the engine hoist and have a really strong point there. All the intake bolts are on there, and this thing is looking almost complete. But before that, I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with the hood. So check this out. So here's the hood. This is the carbon fiber hood. It's like completely fucking shot. That's why I did do some Bondo work here. There is some still subtle cracking, but overall it's in good shape. I just decided I wanted to wrap it because it's a lot more easier, it's salvageable. So yeah, so here it is. It's just clear coat failure too, so it's not that bad. I'm gonna test my luck with carbon fiber wrap, but here's the wrap. It's chilling on the floor for some fucking reason. But this is the Ravuni car wrap. I watch Boosted Project's YouTube channel. There's a little shout out right there. He suggested this car wrap. This is a PET carbon fiber wrap, so it's not like a paper backing. I don't know if that does anything when you're applying it, but we're gonna see. This was, I think with the discount, his discount was about 171 bucks, so it's not bad. It has 10 feet, so I can do it twice and fuck up. So yeah, so we're gonna see what this looks like. I mean, it looks pretty sick, man. I actually did it on the centerpiece, so let me show you the centerpiece on this. See, that's how the car wrap looks like for my first time wrapping. It's not that bad. It has a little bit of imperfections here, but from afar you don't really tell. Like, I still need to do the carbon fiber rear diffuser, but